Hello, hello. Welcome to Be Bold in the City. This is your host, Demita B.
Welcome. This is Brandon Jamal.
All right, sorry about that. This is all live, so you're gonna see some mess ups, some delays, all of that type of stuff. So you all get to see the raw footage before editing on our podcast. And speaking of podcast, we are live on Apple, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, all of the digital platforms that you can listen to podcasts. So just look up Be Bold in the City. We're so excited. So we are currently live on Facebook and YouTube. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. Now, listen, I want to go through these preliminaries before we get started. And I'm encouraging you to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. You can help us touch other people we may not be friends with, we may never see or talk to, but you are connected to them. So something that we say and that we share, you all can be a vehicle to empower other people. So you see these videos and it's something that touches your heart and you feel like, oh, maybe so-and-so needs to hear this. I want to encourage so-and-so today. Well, you can share these videos so that they can be empowered and they can be changed. Okay. So I wanted to say that. I also want to say that we are currently starting today a podcast series. And this is the name of the series. Okay. It's Breaking the Approval Trap. Breaking the Approval Trap. Freedom from people pleasing. So today's episode is first episode of Breaking the Approval Trap. And this is episode number 1, the truth about people pleasing. Okay. The truth about people pleasing. So on Be Bold Radio, so we have 2 podcasts. We have Be Bold in the City and we have Be Bold Radio. On Be Bold Radio, I recently uploaded a podcast about how I have stopped people pleasing. I am no longer becoming or being a people pleaser to other people. This is a decision that I had to make. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so I guess the first episode, the truth about people pleasing. So is it something you want to say, babe? Because I wanted to share it also. I know you got examples of an experience you may have had where you were pleasing. You felt like you were doing it to please other people.
Well, I got a real life situation with us, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's not bad. Just relax.
Okay.
Loosen those cheeks up.
Okay.
But we're always in the car together, driving around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna put myself on blast first, and one of the things that I can say about me is that I'm a good driver. I like to say, I am a good driver. We use the navigation system when we're going where we're going sometimes. And sometimes I get in conversation and I might miss an exit. I might miss a street and I miss out on the directions, what I'm supposed to be hearing to direct me directly to where we're supposed to be going. And I guess the point is the conversation in and of itself, even though we're going somewhere, sometimes it can be a distraction, especially when you don't know where you're going, and I think that when we're talking about approval, dealing with approval, it's one of the things or distractions rather that can keep you off of course.
Yeah.
Where God is leading you, making it to your destination, your arrival point. And, along the way, when we're trying to navigate through, not dealing with approval or, handling, approval the right way is sometimes it's connected to trauma.
Yeah.
In a way, the way that we react, the way the person that we're interacting with would impose, that approval upon us, and it comes from, really our youth, our upbringing. And, I know also when we're in the vehicle, and this is a little funny, you all, because
I know where you're going.
I've been in a car accident before. I've been in car accidents before. My wife, she's been in car accidents before, but we haven't been in one together. So when I'm driving, I can almost picture, or I see my wife has a steering wheel in the passenger seat. She has her own gas pedal. Mm-hmm. She has her own brake, and she exercises her rights from the passenger seat.
Facts.
Sometimes she's going to the extent of blowing my horn for me while we're riding down the street. I have to push her out the way. And, it can be excessive sometimes, and it really got to a point in the past. It got to a point to where I would get offended because she would be so paranoid riding down the street or on the interstate. Anytime that I pressed the brake or if brake lights came on in front of us, mm-hmm. she would jump. She would tell me to slow down. She would, basically she would make a scene, in the car. And I think from an egotistical standpoint with a male, or a man, you don't want to be riding down the street, especially with a car full of people. And your wife is like, oh my God, slow down, brake, stop, this, that, the other. So I just never really wanted to have that experience. But my point in the matter is, I had to get to a point to where I realized that was her trauma and not my trauma. Whatever she had experienced, she hadn't experienced with me. Mm-hmm. Is something, there are triggers there that make her react in a certain way when she sees or feels them that have nothing to do with me. So when we're dealing with people, when we're looking at, feeling like we have to people please, or seek other people's approval, a lot of times it comes from the pressure that they may put on you.
Right.
Or may have put on you.
Right.
And really, a lot of times it's not you, it's things that they haven't dealt with in their past and your pursuit of your said dream or God's vision for your life, mm-hmm. Or your purpose here on earth. If it makes them feel uncomfortable, then they tend to emit or, put this pressure on you to make you feel like you're not on the right path, or they're not in agreement, with the path that you're on or that you're taking.
You're right.
So just in those examples, the thing that I ended up understanding is that, I grew to the point to where I think with you actually started trying to stop with the activity, mm-hmm. On the passenger seat. And I think at that point, I began to not take it so personal.
Okay. And I thank you for that, Brandon. So let me clarify, y'all. I do still have trauma from that. And my trauma comes from the car accident. I had a car accident, and you've heard the story many times. I was driving and I was passing up, my family always talk about me, but I was passing up Baskin Robbins, and I thought I seen my dad's car at Baskin Robbins. He had a counseling session. He was counseling a couple. And in my head, I'm like, he's supposed to be counseling. Why would his car be at Baskin Robbins? It was just somebody else's car. Needless to say, I was so caught up in paying attention to the car that I did not pay attention to the car in front of me, which led me to mash on my brakes. They mashed on their brakes, and then I was right behind them, and boom, I ran into them. Ever since then, I've had the trauma of when people mash on their brakes, it's a trigger for me. Mm-hmm. It's a trigger. So when Brandon, he could be going the speed limit and everything, but once he mashed on them brakes, or he's a certain distance between another car, sometimes I feel like I go back to that moment again of me being in that accident, whether or not it was my fault or not, because it was my fault. But I go back to that moment. It's a trigger for me. And I'm always like, slow down, babe, slow down, and I have not dealt with it. And you are absolutely right. So that's my story, and that's the truth. And I am working on that fear, that trauma from that car accident. So what does that have to do with people pleasing?
Well, that's another example,
but pleasing me.
Oh, guys, listen, this is supposed to be rated G, PG. She trying to go there.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't trying to be bad.
She trying to go there.
I was really saying, how can I put it? When you're driving, do you feel like you're trying to please me as far as or accommodate me because of my trauma?
Well, I heard a quote earlier today that said that when you aim to please people, the only person that ends up being upset with you is yourself and God.
Amen.
You know, when you aim to please people, the only person that ends up being upset with you is yourself and God. So what I learned in that moment is, you know, I'm not to take your trauma and personalize it myself, you know, and make it my offense. You know, I have to have the intelligence, you know, the discernment to understand that you're dealing with your trauma in the way that you deal with it, and that has nothing to do with me.
Absolutely.
So I can't take that on, you know. So I got to a point to where when I was driving, or now when I drive, I let her do what she does. You know, I let her do what she does. It doesn't affect me. You know, I used to respond when she did it, but now I've gotten to the point to where I don't respond.
Right.
And that's where we're really going with this. You know, I got one more confession from this morning, you know, since I'm letting out these secrets. I got 3 daughters. We got 3 daughters that I have to take to school in the morning. 2 go to high school. 1 goes to therapy in the morning, all day. So I take my oldest kids to school first. And I'm so used to the route, you know, that we drive to go to the school. So I picked up my youngest daughter. I drove back, picked up my youngest daughter and left out. And I drove to the high school again almost.
Brandon, today?
Yeah, this morning. I drove to the I went to Westinghouse. You know, you all don't know what Westinghouse is, but it's probably like 5 minutes down the street.
You tell me this stuff?
We ended up 15 minutes late. Because my mind was in autopilot leaving out this morning. I was so used to, you know, when you drive and you drive a route so many times, you drive without thinking. Sometimes you can be in a conversation and you can end up home. You can end up at a destination that you normally drive to without even thinking about it.
That's true.
And I snapped out of it just in time because I was headed back to the high school. I didn't need to be going that way. I was supposed to be going the opposite way. You know, so, but that detour, it threw me off a whole 15 minutes. I had to call, let them know, you know, that we would be arriving late. And my point in that is when it comes to breaking free of approval, others' approval, that seed that was deposited, you know, maybe when you were younger, maybe, you know, recent relationship, what have you, that seed that was deposited, that is an autopilot seed.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you're in certain situations, or let's say God gives you a directive, God tells you to move, God gives you a vision, God reveals your purpose. Instead of you know, going into direct obedience of that assignment, whatever that may be, that seed that was planted on inside of you rises up.
I agree.
So you don't hear God's voice. You know, your autopilot mindset reverts back to the incorrect voice. You know, the one that maybe told you had limitations, the one that tried to project their fear on you because they were scared to do what you're set out to do. So my point, you know, with these stories is each one of those situations, they cause distractions to help me, you know, they made me process what I was dealing with in the incorrect way.
Yeah.
They detoured my actions. They caused a late arrival. You know, they made my journey take longer than what was necessary. And, you know, I believe in this. It's not really about the other person. It's about you being able to know and discern.
I agree.
What you're up against and understand how to set healthy boundaries, you know, with people, even with yourself, you know, when it comes to how far you're going to go or what you're going to put up with when it comes to, you know, people pleasing.
Well, let's talk about it, because I looked it up, and unfortunately, you know, we're talking about breaking the approval trap. So I'll say this, and I said it in my previous podcast. I have recognized, especially since going to therapy, it magnified this this behavior that I had. But I have been trying to please people for since I was a little girl. So I'll give this same scenario that I can remember. I was a little girl and it was like maybe 9, 10. And I was with a few of my cousins and we were at the hair salon and we had some candy and we were given the same amount of candy. I decided I didn't want to eat all my candy at once. I wanted to save some for later. So they ate all of their candy. Got in a car and I pulled my candy out and they was like, what you doing? Why you still got your candy? And I said, I didn't want all mine at once. So they got an attitude at me because I still had my candy and I felt guilty and I shared my candy with them. And, you grow up, you're not thinking about these small little things that happen in your life. But it took me one of the most frustrating moments as an adult to go all the way back to that childhood memory of me not wanting to face confrontation and not wanting people to be angry at me. So I did what they wanted me to do at the risk of what I wanted.
That's good.
And that is why this topic is so important to me, because based on whatever trauma they had, and even as an adult, whatever trauma people have, we have to stay true to ourselves. You know what I mean? So I am breaking free from people pleasing. That's what I'm doing. I am no longer, and I'm confessing this every day, I am no longer a people pleaser. And I looked up some characteristics and it didn't feel good. 10 signs, y'all, that you are a people pleaser. So if y'all ready, just Let's say go. I'm ready. So let me exit off of here real quick.
I'm ready.
Hey, Tyrone and Thomas. It's so good to see everybody on here. And I know some people are going to watch the replay. So I know you guys are on here. All right. So these are 10 signs that you could be a people pleaser.
Let's go.
And just tell me if you can identify with some of these. You pretend to agree with everyone. Listening politely to other people's opinions, even when you disagree, is a good social skill. But pretending to agree just because you want to be liked can cause you to engage in behavior that goes against your values. I can identify. You feel responsible for this is number 2, you feel responsible for how other people feel.
That's good.
So I'm going to say that again because it had to really resonate in my spirit. I felt responsible for how other people felt in every situation. How are people going to feel? What are they going to think of me? What are they going to say about me? If I do this, are people going to like my post? I had gotten to a place where I posted very convicting post, very truthful post, and I would go back and take it down if I didn't get the response that I was expecting, or if I was ruffling feathers and made people feel uncomfortable. So I was always feeling responsible for how people was going to feel. That's not my problem all the time. Number 3, you apologize often. Now, this is one that I hated about me and still working through it. Apologizing when I didn't even do nothing. Can you identify?
Yeah.
And I know even in our relationship, you've done it. You know what I mean? You can interject. I don't want to.
No, it's just there's so many layers to this, and I will get into narcissism a little bit later. And it's not really the way that you think. There's definitely some negative components to it. But, when I speak of narcissism, I mean, it's really recognizing it within yourself, because it's a wide spectrum. It doesn't mean that you live that lifestyle. It just means that we're all prone to those type of behaviors. And you have people that are in your life that project these feelings, up on you to make you feel a certain way. And you feel like you have to accommodate them. And it's really unnecessary. And typically, when you're dealing with these individuals, it's why you have to have your own discernment. Your heart has to be right. You have to be on the path to healing. You have to be in a headspace and in a heart space to where you're able to love despite.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean get walked over. It means that, you may have to set boundaries that are healthy for you. And in these situations, typically when you're dealing with narcissism traits, the other individual doesn't even realize, what they're doing, because one of the traits is they're unable to see themselves, and they're active, and they only see, in many cases, your inadequacies, where you're wrong, whatever it is that you do that activates whatever their triggers are.
I agree.
And you end up being the scapegoat for what they haven't dealt with. And that puts people in place in a space where that particular type of people, or if they're operating, I would just say in that spirit, you feel like you have to compensate for that, by doing something that you didn't really want to do, saying something you didn't really want to say, or making yourself unnecessarily available.
Yes.
So those are really, really good points. I know you're only through number 3.
Yeah. So, and let me just say this, a narcissist, because I don't want to go all the way on that, because it's going to be, that's one of the good ones.
We'll break that down later.
They prey on people pleasers. They know that they can manipulate a person that deals with people pleasing because they can impose guilt and condemnation, and they can impose all of that on that people pleaser, because they know that people pleaser is going to feel guilty. If they get mad at that people pleaser, they know that person is going to do whatever they got to do to try to fix it.
They look for weaker people.
Yes, they look for weaker people. So
people that will agree with their viewpoint.
The narcissist is the predator of a people pleaser. They really are.
That's heavy.
They manipulate a people pleaser. And there are a lot of couples, you hear about it in relationships, and I'm watching, don't judge me, but in my downtime, I've been watching this Risa Tisa, whatever. If y'all know what it is, y'all know what it is. I ain't even don't judge me, judge yourself. But I've been watching it on TikTok. And this lady was married to a narcissist. And she was a people pleaser. She was doing whatever she could to please this guy, to be happy and all of this stuff. And a lot of relationships are like that, because the wife or the husband is trying to please the other person. And the narcissist, whoever the narcissist is preying on that. They manipulate them because they know they're a people pleaser. So I told y'all, I identified with almost all of these, right? All right, so let me go to the, I don't want to lose. Okay, so they apologize often. That's number 3. It says under number 3, whether you blame yourself or fear other people are always going to blame you. Frequent apologies can be a sign of a bigger problem. You don't have to be sorry for being you. We don't have to be sorry for being. A few people, and I will not say their names, used to talk about my laugh. And one specifically used to say that I used to laugh too loud. That's how I am. That's how God made me.
Right.
And when I would get that response, I started trying to laugh differently, sounding weird. Stuff stopped being funny to me because I was trying to laugh in a sophisticated way or whatever. That's not who I am. And anytime I would laugh, I would apologize. I'd be out eating and I'm laughing. I'm like, I'm sorry. What am I sorry for? For
it's
being
supposed
me?
To be your medicine.
Yes, this is who I am. This is how
messing up your joy.
Yeah. So this is how I laugh. So, and my laugh is unique. So I'm in the building if you hear my laugh. I'm close by. But that's just one example. Number 4, you feel burdened by the things you have to do. So in other words, you are in charge of how you spend your time. But if you are a people pleaser, there's a good chance your schedule is filled with activities that you think other people want you to do. Now, babe, you can attest to me. I would do everything for everybody.
Right.
And come home frustrated, burned out, drained. I would answer everybody's call. Just be on the phone. Just letting them take up space and use and suck up my time.
Right.
because I didn't want people to think I was funny acting and don't like talking on the phone, because I don't. That's not, I would rather text, voice messages or voice memos. Talking on the phone, I'm not all the time. That's just not my thing. There's nothing bad, and no longer am I apologizing for it.
Well, I think to add to that, you know, it gets to a point to where there's deposits and it's withdrawals when you're having conversation with people, you know, and I think when it gets too much to where people, they call you with more, I would just say garbage.
Yeah.
Then, and pour that in. They call with garbage and they don't pour into you.
That's right.
So, you know, meaning you're always giving advice. You're already, and a lot of times that, you know, they may not even listen to, you know, and there's no reciprocation of that. So it begins to wear on you. And if you don't pay attention to it, you'll keep going down that path. You'll end up being the one that's miserable. You know, you're not there for everybody else in your life that is important, you know, that's in your immediate circle. And you just have to be observant, you know, what's actually happening when you're interacting with other people, you know, so that you don't go down the track or you'll develop a pattern of putting yourself in harm's way.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. So
that's true.
That's a good point.
You're right. And knowing everybody is not a priority. Everybody is not my priority. And no longer will I make, and you all listening should make everybody and everything your priority, because you're going to be burned out. And I've heard somebody say, anything you say yes to, you're saying no to something else. So if you're saying yes to everybody, you're probably saying no to you too, for the most part. If you're saying yes to doing everything for everybody, running, help everybody, oh, I'll be there, I'm on my way, and then you're home, you're not taking care of home. You're saying no to your spouse, no to your children, no to something, no to yourself. So people pleasers feel burdened by the things they have to do, meaning they feel the burden to take on everybody else's problems. I am not in the business of solving everybody's problems. I am not everybody's assignment.
That's good.
I'll say that again. Everybody is not my assignment.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of people are, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
but everybody is not my assignment, meaning, you know, like,
if it falls outside of your purpose on a regular basis. Yeah.
Like, I can't solve everybody's problem. That ain't my problem. You into it with this one? That's not my problem. You got fired on your job? That's not my problem. You not being manageable with your money? That's not my problem. So that's what we have to learn. We cannot be burdened by everybody else's responsibilities and problems. Number 5. This was a big one. And I know somebody listening can attest to this. You can't say no.
Wow.
Whether you say yes and then actually follow through, or you later fake an illness to get out of your commitments, that you'll never reach your goals and you can't speak up for yourself. So a lot of people who can't say no, they'll make up excuses because they don't want to disappoint people. I know I've done that before, you know, but go ahead.
No, it's good. I mean, you can't be everywhere everybody wants you to be. You can't be everything everybody wants you to be. And everybody, the other party can certainly get gratification out of you not being able to say no. You know, they get pleased.
Yeah.
And you're the one that's left to pick up the pieces after you go back to your space. And it's a bad pattern, you know, to not, or a habit rather, not to be able to break. And part of that approval is dealing with the aftermath of saying no. You know, how's this person going to treat me moving forward? Are they going to call me? Are they going to talk to me? You know, they're going to treat me indifferently? Are they going to, you know, displace me? A lot of you out there probably experienced being displaced before, you know, by another party. And I had someone tell me before, you know, by example, that you know, when you're dealing with people, sometimes you got to place them, you know, you dealing with courts. So sometimes, you got to place a person where they're supposed to be. So there's an inner court, which is those individuals that maybe you confide in a little bit more. Maybe you spend more time with. You got a middle court to where, maybe those are just associates, people that you may have to do business with, normal day-to-day activities with. And then you have an outer court, and these are the people, this is where you place people that, you might love them, but you can't really interact with them on a regular basis. And I've been placed in the outer court before. I don't know about you, but I think a lot of times when we do set healthy boundaries for ourselves, a lot of times when you do start to speak up, when you do start to discover yourself and your purpose, when God's really working in your life, it makes comfortable people uncomfortable.
That's good.
And it puts them in a space to where they may not say certain things, but you'll feel it when you go around them. You'll feel it when you talk to them. The conversation may be different. And I think one of the biggest issues with seeking approval is not wanting to travel the lonely journey that God has required, for your purpose. I was looking at scripture this morning, Mark 3:35. That's the scripture that says, those who do God's will will be my sister, my brother, and my mother. Those who do God's will, so anybody that serves the Lord, that's my sister, mother, and brother. So in a natural viewpoint of that, it tells me to find your tribe. You gotta go out and seek and locate your tribe. And those are the people that are like-minded. They have the same interests that you have. They have the same pursuits that you have. They get it. They get what God has put down on the inside of you, because everybody's not going to understand.
That's right.
God doesn't give everyone else your vision.
That's right.
So you have to be able to, you got to know where to go. You got to know who to seek.
Yeah.
You seek God first, all other things will be added. Allow him to lead you to the appropriate tribe, so that when you do express yourself, when you do put your goals out there, when you do share your vision, you have there's a lower risk of you being disappointed, by who you share that information with, as opposed to those that maybe you came up around that you really want to trust. You want to love your vision. You want to accept, who you are, and accept, here's one, who you're evolving into.
Yeah.
Because people want to take the memory that they have of you when you was that little boy, that little girl, or teenager, or young adult, and they want to keep you right there.
That's right.
When you have evolved, or even worse, you allow it to stunt your growth. Because you want the people around you to be feel comfortable. Right. So right. You don't strive to be your best self. You hold back, you reduce your personality in order to make other people comfortable. And now the GPS is off again, right? Yep. Now we're in the wilderness longer than we need to, when God was trying to lead us down a path, and we were just scared to be lonely, until he connected us with the right people.
And the Bible says, what profits a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul?
Wow.
Which means I don't profit from pleasing everybody, accepting everybody, gaining everybody's approval. I don't get any satisfaction in that. I am losing my soul when I'm giving everybody a part of me, everybody a piece of me. And that is where it took me forever to learn that. And it's a process. Every day it's a process. And saying no is becoming easier and easier and easier. I've witnessed my body go into numbness, and I've gone into anxiety trying to please people. And they didn't know what they were doing, the effect that they had on me. But the moment I broke that stronghold and made a decision, I'm not to allow people to drive me to illness, drive me nuts, or come in between my marriage, my family, anything. I am not going to profit your gain, profit your attention, your approval and risk my family and my sanity and all, and my gift and my calling, what God has called me to do. And most of the times when we are pleasing everybody, we're not pleasing God. We are not pleasing God when we're pleasing everybody.
That's true. And I don't know who said it. I can't remember, but they said, if you want to guarantee failure, try to please everyone.
That's right.
If you want to guarantee failure, try to please everyone. So, I mean, like I said, it's a lot of layers to that subject.
Yeah.
And with you all following us with Be Bold in the City, this is natural conversation. Like she said, it's not rehearsed.
Mm-mm.
You know, it might be a little choppy. You know, we've got topics that we will hone in a little bit more, make it more detailed for you. But, you know, with Be Bold in the City, what we really want to do is help you tap into your potential. And if you can, you know, take this image up on yourself, you know, imagine yourself being a home. You know, our bodies are a house that we live in. And I want you to think of the rehab, the renovation process that happens on the inside of a home, and, you know, how it can be gutted, you know, how all the clutter can be removed. You know, how a total makeover on the inside can take place, you know, to the point to where you can stand outside on the exterior and you wouldn't know it'd be so immaculate on the inside. And that's what we want to do, you know, is put you in position to where when you have these encounters with people that it's not for you to be malicious. It's not for you to be nasty, you know, to people that have some of these characteristics or that you've tried to seek approval from. It's not about that. It's about really walking in love, but doing it, you know, being able to set healthy boundaries from a healthy place internally.
Yes.
And you got to do that inner work, you know, because God is love. You know, God forgave us for our sins, you know, regardless of what we did. He loves us, you know, it's agape love, you know, so it's unconditional love. And his mandate is for us to render that type of love to other people, you know. So what I'm going to do real quick is, you know, because love is a heavy word, you know, we throw it around like it's nothing, you know, but God's love is different. And it has many different characteristics. Let's put it that way. So I gotta go find it. Why don't you go ahead?
No.
And chime in.
And even what you're about to talk about is it ties into us loving ourselves as well. You know, and I noticed that when I was pleasing other people, the less I was loving myself.
Yeah.
The less I was loving myself and the less I was taking care of myself and pouring into myself, because I was trying to make everybody happy. I thought that was love. So Brandon's going to talk about the traits of love, the characteristics. Go ahead, baby.
Well, there's many. I mean, on this list is 21, you know, so the first one is love is patient, you know, and these are, you all have heard, a lot of you all have heard these before, but, you know, people don't understand the layers.
Yeah.
You know, the full capacity of love, you know, so true love can tolerate pain or suffering without complaining or getting angry. So love come out swinging.
That's
you
true.
know, it's not easy to do. You know, tolerate pain and suffering without complaining or getting angry, you know, because this is something that someone else is doing to you. Love is kind. You know, true love has a gentle, caring, and compassionate heart. It feels your sorrow and it feels your joy. Love is not envious. True love is content and thankful for its blessings and current possessions. It doesn't envy other people, you know. So if you're looking over the fence and you want what someone else has, and you don't know what they went through to get it. You don't know what they have to endure in order to have it. It's a false sense.
That's right.
A false sense of existence, a false sense of love. Love is humble. How about that one? True love is not proud and boastful. A person should be humble enough to admit their own mistakes. So that's another trait of narcissism, typically with that personality disorder or characteristic. People they don't know how to apologize. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to say, I'm sorry. And that's not for you to expect that. That's for you to recognize who's in front of you, who you're dealing with, because you may never get that apology. And, it's really, you shouldn't rely on any man for your peace.
That's right.
You should rely on God for your peace. You should talk to the right person or the right professional in order to sort that out within you. Because one of the issues is we here's what's not love. We put expectations on people that sometimes they're not even capable of.
Right.
They came out of situations that that built them in a way to where they put up walls to where they don't have the capacity to love you the way that you want to be loved or treat you the way you expect to be treated. And all you can really do in maturity is communicate it. And if they are unwilling to accept that communication, then it's up to you to manage the relationship from that point. What type of boundary do you want to set? Mm-hmm. How can you make it healthy for you? How can I put myself in position to where I can still love this person accordingly, without putting myself at risk? So, love is respectful. True love respects and honors you as a person. It doesn't put you into shame or humiliation. So we had that conversation with our kids about some of their friends, and it happens. Kids are cruel, going through high school and things like that. But high school relationships tend to get more serious. It tends to be a little bit more drama. And we have to tell our daughters sometimes that, when you're with someone, you have to pay attention to how they're treating you in front of other people. Mm-hmm. Because if they're willing to throw you under the bus in front of other people, if they're different with you behind closed doors or in private, and when they get in, in front of other people, they're different, then chances are they're not really your friend.
That's right.
Or they're insecure, and they need to seek attention. But if their attention seeking puts you at risk of being humiliated, then they're not loving you appropriately.
That's right.
You need to analyze. You need to take a look at that relationship.
That's right.
And see if there's somebody that you want to be involved with. Love is selfless. My goodness. True love is always thoughtful and concerned about the welfare of its beloved. It's not selfish, inconsiderate, and greedy. Well, I can't say that we don't have impulses from time to time, but I think some of our arguments sometimes have been about trying to please each other.
Yeah, most of them.
And that's funny. You get into an argument about, no, you go. No, you go. No, you go. Mm-hmm.
So we did it today about the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like, but you need to get in the bathroom. No, do you need to get in the bathroom? No, you go. Over silly stuff.
That's a good thing, but the Bible says that a soft answer turns away wrath.
Yeah.
So when someone has approached you or they've addressed you in a way that maybe you wouldn't normally accept, or rubs you the wrong way, having the wherewithal to be able to respond in love with a calm answer. Now that might be you gently correcting them. That might be you just giving a soft response. A high percentage of the time, it'll resolve a conflict. Mm-hmm. A high percentage of the time, there are one-offs, where it's up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You went too far, but for the most part, it's not your habitual lifestyle to match energy with energy.
Right.
It's better to walk in the spirit of love.
Sometimes we got to let people know, don't play with me.
You do. you know, but you don't have to have as many conflicts.
Yeah, you're right there.
You know, this is for the people that's like, I speak it, I tell it like it is.
Right.
You know, I speak my mind.
Yeah.
You know, I say whatever I want to say. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't need to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah. That's right.
It's not wise to do.
That's right.
You know, because it just can go so many different ways. But anyway, love protects.
Amen.
True love always protects you and wants you to be safe. So you have, I know you've had some moments as of recent, you know, to where people made you not feel safe just in their communication. Just in a time of need, you know, when you felt you needed them the most, you didn't feel protected out in the open. And you know, that's a challenge.
It wasn't love. You know what I mean? They weren't walking in love. And that is every trait, every characteristic that you're mentioning, Brandon, is a daily process for each and every one of us. So you might be strong in one area of love, and we talked about this the other day. I'm working on patience. I got a couple other ones I'm working on, you know, and recognizing and acknowledging that this is a process of love, and to recognize when people are not loving you the right way, recognizing when these characteristics are not being implemented in the relationships that you have and you're connected to. Right?
That's right. So. Love loves even those who don't love it. Ouch.
Dang, say that again.
Love loves even those who don't love it. So you have to deal with people, you know, doing you wrong. We've done people wrong. Everybody's done something to somebody, you know, that maybe it wasn't your intention.
Right.
But we've all been in this position, and that's why it's reciprocal. It should go both ways. And, you know, like I said, there's 21 characteristics. It's not for you to possess all of these at one time.
Absolutely.
You know, it's to give you a big enough shoe, so to speak, to grow into, a big enough fishbowl to grow into when it comes to these characteristics. And that's why when it comes to us breaking the barriers off, doing the inner work, we're talking about renovation. You want to know how you can take some of these characteristics and actually apply them in your relationships and how you interact with people. You have to do the work to put yourself in a healthy space to where you're able to handle other people's personalities that may be different from yours, other people's positions that may be different from yours, other people's experiences that were different from yours, because that shapes how they interact with you. So you got to have the discernment to be able to understand, you know, who you're in contact with, who you're communicating with, so that you're not putting yourself in these compromising positions of approval seeking, you know, with these individuals, you know, and you're handling them the right way. If you run into a situation where you do have to say no, you know, you do have to correct the individual or let them know what your boundary or your standard is.
That's it. And segue, because for the sake of time, I'm still learning that you can still walk in those characteristics of love and not be a people pleaser.
Exactly.
I thought I needed to please people in order to love them. Like I wasn't loving them if I wasn't pleasing them, if I wasn't making everybody else happy, if everybody wasn't my friend. I didn't, you know. And when people say, oh, she's so nice, she's such a nice girl, sometimes that ain't always a good thing to be known as the nice girl, meaning, am I polite or do you always get what you want out of me? Am I easy to persuade? That was the difference. And so, you know, I'm learning that I can still love people and walk in the traits of love. We can all still love people and walk in the gifts of love and the characteristics of love that God tells us about. And is it 1 Corinthians, I believe, and still not be and seek approval from people. We don't have to get everybody's approval. You can still walk in love. You can still walk in the fruits of the Spirit. You can still please God and not seek approval from everybody. Everybody don't deserve a yes. And these characteristics, I didn't even get through all of them. One of them is you feel uncomfortable if someone is angry at you. That was a very strong trait of mine.
Yeah, me too.
We would lose sleep when people get mad at us. I sleep very peaceful now because not that I don't care, but I don't have to make you happy. Making you happy is not my responsibility.
It's a level of freedom.
I feel so free.
And I think the last time that we spoke, or the last time we had our podcast, I was done and I was like, man, I hope I didn't disappoint anybody, by freeing myself up. You can hold on and harbor things on the inside of you that can deliver other people, that can help other people in their lives, but you're worried about what the other party may say, what people's opinions may be about you expressing just who you are, your life experience. And, it's almost like, what is the cost of being free? Freedom has a price. Not being free has a price. And I think the conclusion that I came to was, well, things are already the way they are.
Say that again.
It can't get any worse.
Not being free has a price.
Not being free has a price, so, but the thing was, I was still getting the same result, I was still getting the same result out of the situation while I wasn't free. So what do I have to lose? In order to be free, it's still going to be the same. It's not going to change anything. The only difference is, I don't have to wear that burden anymore.
Amen.
So when it comes to saying no, when it comes to, drawing the line and saying, hey, I'm not going to participate in, I'll tell you what, and this is just a random statement.
Okay.
People themselves will have a thought or an opinion about you. They will sit in front of you and look you in your eye, not address the issue or not ask the question that they're inquisitive about, allow you to leave their presence, and then go talk to someone else about it. I don't know if I need to repeat that again, but people will have an opinion. They'll have a thought about you. They'll be in your face. They'll look you in your eye. They'll leave your presence. And instead of asking you to get the correct information, from the horse's mouth, or to give you an opportunity to address the indifference, they'll go and talk about it to someone else. Because it's easier to do. So it makes you wonder if an individual even wants to reconcile. And the reason that I bring that up is because we know that that's going on, and we're quick sometimes to want to run and resolve those situations when you have to get used to allowing people to think what they think. Part of people pleasing is finding out someone said something, or someone had a thought, or someone had something that was totally wrong. But if you feel like you have to go and put every single fire out,
that's right,
based on someone's perception or their misconception of your situation, who you are, what God has called you to do, you can't explain your vision to everybody. Everybody doesn't know what it requires of you to be you.
That's right.
To some people, things come naturally. Some behaviors come naturally. To some people, natural behaviors are more difficult because they might have came out of environments where they never saw order in a particular department or a particular part of their life. So these are things that, you need to be able to process, in order to help you appropriately navigate and not get distracted by what your purpose is, what your God-given talent and your purpose is.
Speaking of that, Brandon, because we have to close. I'm gonna say this. People pleasing is a distraction. It is a distraction from you being in totality everything that God has called you to be.
That's good.
Because you are mentally consumed by the opinions and the thoughts of everybody else that you cannot focus on who God called you to be and what God called you to do. I know that because that was my experience. I was consumed and I made people an idol in my life. I made them the gods in my life. Unknowingly, just living life. But I made people the idols in my life. And instead of saying, God, was you pleased? We were concerned about if people were pleased. And we are no longer pleasing people.
Yeah.
So we hope that you all got something out of this. This was just the first episode.
Yeah, cool. Carrying all those bags.
Yes.
Carrying
Seriously.
too many bags.
Yeah. And this is the year to be free, to walk in liberty, to break the stronghold of the approval of other people. Because you don't. You've already been approved. You've already been approved.
Yeah. So join us next week as we continue to work through this series.
Yes.
We will have more information, more insight for you.
Yes.
And we really appreciate you all joining us. Until then, everybody be blessed.
Bye.
And have a wonderful day. Peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.